Hey everyone, if you are totally exhausted by the endless cycle of fad diets and extreme wellness trends, trust me, you are absolutely not alone. In this explainer, we're taking a completely fad-free look at the source material to finally demystify weight management. We're going to completely bypass all that marketing hype and just explore the actual, grounded biology. By the end of this, we'll have a crystal clear understanding of exactly how the human body processes energy and, more importantly, what it actually takes to achieve healthy, permanent results.
Here is the roadmap for our explainer. We're covering the calorie bank account, BMR, and the thermic effect, balancing your macronutrients, lifestyle factors like exercise and sleep, and finally, 5 actionable steps for sustainable maintenance. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The calorie bank account. Okay, let's dive into this by starting with the absolute foundation of all weight management.
I want you to think of your body literally like a biological bank account. It's a massive, complex system, sure, but it actually becomes highly intuitive once you look at it this way. All the money you earn, or in this case, the calories you take in every single day through your food and your drinks, gets deposited straight into your account. That's your earnings. On the flip side, all the money you spend acts as your expenses. These are the calories out, which your body burns through physical activity and just everyday unavoidable bodily functions. Just like a financial bank account, your overall balance at the end of the day is determined entirely by the difference between your earnings and your expenses. It really is that straightforward at its core.
So, what does this all mean for your actual weight? The crucial takeaway is this. If your calorie deposits consistently exceed your calorie expenses, your body suddenly finds itself with a surplus of energy. And here's the thing, your body is incredibly efficient. It doesn't just throw that extra energy away. Instead, it converts those unspent, leftover calories into fat cells and stores them away for a rainy day. That storage process is exactly what increases your overall body weight. So to decrease your bank balance, or in other words, to lose body weight, you simply must maintain a calorie deficit. You basically have 3 choices. You reduce your intake, you increase your physical expenses, or ideally, you do a healthy combination of both. When you strip away all the diet industry noise, it truly comes down to this basic, undeniable law of thermodynamics.
Section 2. BMR and the thermic effect. Let's see how our bodies naturally burn these calories, even when we are completely at rest.
You know, you might think you only really burn calories when you're sweating it out at the gym or going for a run, but that is actually far from the truth. Enter your basal metabolic rate, or BMR for short. This is the baseline, fundamental energy your body requires merely to keep you alive and functioning while you are doing absolutely nothing. Think about it, making your heart beat, expanding your lungs so you can breathe, constantly repairing your cells. All of these automated, behind-the-scenes processes require a massive amount of energy. Now, BMR isn't just one fixed number for everybody. It varies significantly based on individual factors like your height, your current weight, and how much muscle mass you carry.
To give you a real sense of just how powerful your BMR actually is, look at this incredible data point from the research. An average person burns roughly 400 calories simply by sleeping for 8 hours. Isn't that wild? Your body is essentially a biological machine that is constantly running in the background. It's continuously withdrawing from your calorie bank account minute by minute, even while you are fast asleep, deep in dreamland.
Now, knowing that our bodies burn calories just by existing, this brings up a really common and, let's be honest, very enticing question. Do negative calorie foods actually exist? We've all heard the classic myth that if you eat certain foods, like celery for example, your body actually burns more calories just trying to digest them than the food itself even contains. The idea is that eating them results in a negative calorie balance. But we have to ask, is there any actual scientific truth to this?
Well, the short answer is no. Negative calorie foods are, unfortunately, a complete myth. And the reason why lies in something called the thermic effect of food, or TEF. Now, it is absolutely true that your body uses up energy to digest, absorb, and store the food you eat. It's like paying a small biological tax to process your meal. Whole grains and proteins, for instance, require a whole lot of energy to break down. However, the thermic effect maxes out at around 30%, and that high mark is specifically for protein. Let's break the math down really quick. This means if you eat 100 calories of pure protein, your body spends about 30 of those calories doing the hard work of digesting it. But, and this is the key, you still absorb the remaining 70 calories into your bank account. So, while eating high thermic whole foods is absolutely fantastic for your metabolism, you are still ultimately gaining calories. Negative calories are just mathematically impossible.
Section 3. Balancing your macronutrients. Let's shift our focus to the actual currency we are depositing into our accounts every day. Now, what's really interesting about these numbers is how they map out our ideal daily fuel. To function optimally, your body needs a very specific balance, which scientists call the acceptable macronutrient distribution ranges. Roughly 45 to 65% of your daily calories should come from carbohydrates. Carbs are your body's preferred, fast-acting fuel for your brain and your muscles. Next up, 20 to 35% should come from fats. Fats get a bad rap, but they are absolutely essential for balancing your hormones and absorbing vital nutrients. Finally, 10 to 35% should come from protein, which is crucial to preserve and repair your muscle mass. Drastically restricting any one of these three categories usually just leads to trouble, cravings, and an eventual crash.
But wait, what about all those intense, endless debates you see online between the low-carb keto crowd and the low-fat diet advocates? Well, major scientific studies impartially settle this entire argument. When we look at a really well-regarded 2012 study out of Sweden, alongside a massive 2017 meta-analysis that looked at 32 different controlled feeding studies, the results are identically clear. When a strict calorie deficit is maintained, low-carb and low-fat diets yield the exact same weight loss results, no difference whatsoever. The magic isn't hidden in some secret complex ratio of carbs to fats. The magic is literally just in maintaining the calorie deficit. Honestly, this data is incredibly freeing. It completely releases you from the stress and anxiety of trying to pick the absolute perfect diet. You can simply choose a balanced eating style that you actually enjoy and, more importantly, one that you can realistically stick to long-term.
However, there is a catch. Not all calories actually feel the same once they hit your stomach. And this brings us to a fascinating concept called the satiety index. This is simply a scientific measure of how full and satisfied a specific food makes you feel. Researchers tested equal 240-calorie portions of all sorts of different foods. And get this, boiled potatoes scored an absolutely incredible 323 against the standard baseline score of 100. That is off the charts. What this tells us is that nutrient-dense, high-fiber foods, things like boiled potatoes, eggs, and legumes, make you feel significantly fuller on the exact same amount of calories when compared to highly processed foods. So while your actual weight loss is ultimately dictated by calories, successfully managing your daily hunger and not feeling miserable is all about choosing foods with a super high satiety index.
Section 4. Exercise, sleep, and stress. Let's look at the crucial behavioral and lifestyle factors that determine if your progress will last.
Have you ever tried one of those extreme crash diets where you just drastically slashed your calories, only to feel totally miserable, completely foggy, and eventually just quit? The research points out a really fascinating biological reason for why that happens. Your brain alone consumes a massive 20% of your body's total energy output. If you force a severe calorie deficit without utilizing the balancing effect of physical exercise, your brain is literally starved of its preferred energy source. This directly leads to intense brain fog, severe irritability, that classic hangry feeling, a drop in your hormonal balance, and eventual diet failure. Healthy, sustainable weight loss absolutely requires keeping your body and your brain properly fueled while you do it.
And that right there is exactly why physical activity is an absolute non-negotiable if you want long-term success. Yes, regular movement burns extra calories, which helps increase your expenses. But way more importantly, it preserves your lean muscle mass. This is vital, because remember, muscle burns more calories at rest. Keeping your muscle prevents that frustrating metabolic drop that usually happens when people lose weight. However, we really have to carefully clarify a major myth right here. Spot reduction of fat is completely biologically impossible. Doing endless sit-ups or crunches will absolutely not burn belly fat specifically. Sadly, your genetics, and definitely not your exercise choice, decide exactly where on your body you are going to lose the fat from first.
We also absolutely cannot ignore the silent saboteurs of weight management: chronic stress and sleep deprivation. High stress floods your entire body with a hormone called cortisol. Cortisol directly slows down your metabolism and actively triggers intense biological cravings for sugar and high-fat foods. It's a double whammy. Now contrast that destructive metabolic impact with the incredible restorative power of good sleep. Getting a solid 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep every single night ensures your hormones stay balanced, allowing your body to fully recover and properly regulate your appetite for the next day. If you are tracking your food but completely ignoring your stress and your sleep, you are literally fighting your own biology.
Section 5. Steps to sustainable maintenance. We've covered the energy, the food, and the lifestyle. Now, let's tie this all together. First off, the science here is incredibly reassuring. You absolutely do not need to look like a fitness model to drastically improve the quality of your life. The data clearly shows that just a 5% reduction in your total body weight has massive, immediate benefits for your health. That small amount can significantly lower your blood pressure, improve your cholesterol levels, and heavily reduce your risk of chronic illnesses like heart disease and type 2 diabetes.
A gradual, sustainable, and entirely manageable weight loss of just 1 to 2 pounds a week is exactly the sweet spot you should be aiming for.
And this brilliantly illustrates the practical path forward. Data from the National Weight Control Registry and leading health experts highlight 5 pillars that are absolutely necessary to make these changes permanent. First, you have to truly understand your why. Second, you need to track where you are right now, using food diaries and activity logs just to get a baseline. Third, set highly specific, realistic short-term goals. For example, instead of a vague, I'm going to exercise more, say I will walk for 15 minutes 3 days this week. See the difference? Fourth, find a support system through friends, family, or professionals. And fifth, continuously monitor your progress and make sure to reward yourself with fun, non-food rewards as you hit those milestones.
Throughout this entire journey, you really must remember this incredibly powerful insight directly from our source research. The key to relapse prevention is learning to anticipate high-risk situations. Learn to forgive yourself for a lapse and view it as a learning experience. Listen, you are going to have days where you overeat. You are going to miss workouts. Life happens. Setbacks are completely normal and expected. Perfection is absolutely not required for weight management. Consistency and recovery are what actually matter. So forgive yourself, learn what triggered the slip-up, and simply get right back on track the very next day.
The science behind energy balance, metabolism, and nutrition is clear, and the lifestyle tools to succeed are now right here in your hands. But honestly, none of the biology matters without your own personal drive to make a change. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. What is your why? Why do you want to start this sustainable journey today? Take a moment right now, identify that deep, personal motivation, literally write it down on a piece of paper, and use it as your anchor going forward. You've got the knowledge, now it's time to build the habits. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and here's to a healthier, sustainable you.